Hello guys, in this video we are going to discuss about the Lewis dot structures. The American chemist G.N. Lewis actually introduced the term covalency, and he suggested how the covalent bonds are formed between two elements by pairing up two electrons, and he also proposed a way of drawing the structure of covalent molecules by simply considering the valence shell electrons of the constituent atoms or elements. And these structures are basically known as Lewis dot structures. The term dot is basically due to the designation of the electrons by simply a dot, and that's why the term dot appears in the Lewis dot structures. So electrons are basically represented as dots in Lewis structures. So let us consider an example of methane molecule formation, which is obviously a covalent molecule, and then we will discuss all the aspects of drawing a Lewis dot structure of a covalent molecule. To draw the Lewis structure of methane, we have to consider the valence shell electronic configuration of carbon as well as hydrogen. So we all know that carbon has an electronic configuration of 1s2, 2s2 and 2p2. So the valence shell will be the shell having the highest principal quantum number, that is the 2s2 and 2p2 orbitals will constitute the valence shells for carbon atom, and we can clearly see that in the valence shell carbon has only 4 electrons, 2p electrons and 2s electrons, and due to the presence of 4 electrons in its valence shell, it can form 4 covalent bonds. If we consider the electronic configuration of hydrogen, then hydrogen has an electronic configuration of 1s1, that is, it has only 1 electron in its valence shell, which is 1s orbital. So now let us look at the covalent bond formation between carbon and hydrogen during the formation of methane molecule. So since 4 unpaired electrons are available for carbon atom, so according to Lewis we have to draw a structure for carbon atom where these 4 electrons will be around the carbon atom like this. You can consider a square around this carbon atom, and you have to place these electrons, which are represented as dots, between the each sides of the square like this, and then you have to place 4 hydrogen atoms around this carbon atom. And now, according to Lewis, the covalent bond formation required the pairing of electrons. So in this case, 1 electron from hydrogen and 1 electron from carbon will be paired up, and the paired electrons will remain between these two atoms in order to hold them tightly, and this is known as covalent bond formation. So here 4 covalent bonds will form, and each carbon hydrogen bonds will involve the pairing up of 2 electrons, 1 from carbon and 1 from hydrogen, like this. Right? So now after the formation of these covalent bonds, 4 covalent bonds, we can see that each pair of electrons are shared by both the carbon atom as well as the hydrogen atom. Like this, all the pair of electrons are basically shared by carbon atom. So in this process, carbon basically sharing 8 electrons. You can see total 4 electron pairs. So 4 into 2, it is 8. So carbon is basically sharing 8 electrons after the formation of this methane molecule. and each hydrogen is sharing 2 electrons. Since these pair of electrons are actually involved in the covalent bond formation, and that's why they are called bonding pair of electrons. Also, they are basically shared between the two atoms, and that's why they are also called shared electron pairs. And according to Pauli's exclusion principle, we all know that when two electrons come to a common place, in this case it is the place between these two atoms, carbon and hydrogen, and thereby they must possess at least one quantum number different between them. So basically they will possess 3 quantum numbers same, that is the principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, and magnetic quantum number for these two electrons will be same, but the spin quantum number will be different, and that's why they basically pairing up during the bond formation. So this is the basic idea of covalent bond forming according to G. N. Lewis. So now let us consider another example. In this case it will be the water molecule. So if we consider the electronic configuration of oxygen, then it is 1s2, 2s2 and 2p4. So in valence shell, oxygen containing total 6 electrons. But if you put these 6 electrons around oxygen, then you can see that only 2 electrons will remain as unpaired electrons, and the other 4 electrons will be paired up and will form 2 lone pair of electrons. That is, they will never participate in any kind of bonding, and that's why they are called unshared electron pairs or lone pair of electrons. And now if we place 2 hydrogen atoms around this oxygen atom to form 2 oxygen hydrogen covalent bond to form the water molecule, then it will look like this, and then the pairing of electrons from hydrogen and oxygen will take place to form 2 oxygen hydrogen covalent bond of the water molecule. And the Lewis dot structure for water molecule will look like this. So you can now know what is lone pair of electrons and what is bond pair of electrons. Now we have to understand what is the rule of octet, because this is the crucial thing about the Lewis structures. So if we consider the second row elements from nitrogen to carbon to oxygen to fluorine and at the last neon. So we all know that neon has an electronic configuration of 1s2, 2s2 and 2p6. That is, all the orbitals are filled up by electrons, and thereby it is basically forming a closed shell. Its valence shell is basically closed, and due to this reason neon is totally inert towards any kind of interaction or bond formation between other elements. And due to this reason, this tremendous stability of this kind of electronic configuration, and due to this reason nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, fluorine always try to attain this kind of electronic configuration after the bond formation. That is, after forming a covalent molecule, they always try to gain or to attain this kind of electronic configuration where the valence shell will be totally closed, right? To understand that, we have to consider the water molecule formation again. So here you can see that oxygen can accommodate extra 2 electrons in its valence shell, and after accommodating extra 2 electrons it will get an octet configuration. That is, the valence shell will be totally closed, and to do so, it is basically forming two covalent bonds between two hydrogen atoms, and thereby after the formation of this water molecule, you can now see that these two bonding pair of electrons is now shared by both oxygen as well as hydrogen. So oxygen is basically sharing 8 electrons in its valence shell. 6 electrons are its own electrons and 2 electrons are coming from 2 hydrogen atoms, and thereby it has a control over 8 electrons now, and that's why it attained the octet configuration, and thereby the stability of water molecule is very high due to this kind of electronic configuration. So octet rule basically tells us that about the maximum bonding capability for a particular element, and this is very important in case of second row elements, because as we go, the higher atomic number elements will often deviate from this octet rule, and the reason I will tell you later. So now you know about the octet rule. If you consider the hydrogen atoms, they are also attaining the helium-like configuration. You can see that hydrogen is sharing 2 electrons, and if you consider the electronic configuration of helium atom, then helium has 2 electrons in its valence shell, which is 1s, and here also its valence shell is totally closed, and hydrogen is getting that electronic configuration after forming a covalent bond. So each atom will try to attain a noble gas-like electronic configuration after covalent bond formation, right? So this simple but very efficient information we can get from Lewis dot structures. So now let us consider the double and triple bond situation. If we consider the carbon dioxide molecule, then we have to draw the carbon dioxide molecule in terms of Lewis dot structure. So first, simply put 4 electrons around the carbon, and then place 2 oxygen atoms, and also put the electrons around the oxygen atoms, right? So here carbon has 4 electrons, unpaired electrons, and 2 of its unpaired electrons will be participated in forming 2 oxygen carbon double bond, single bond, sorry. But now after forming 2 covalent bonds, carbon has 2 unpaired electrons, this one, and oxygen also has 1 electron in each oxygen atom. And what will happen next? They will try to pair these electrons up by forming another covalent bond, and this time it will be a pi bond. Initially it was a sigma bond, and after sigma bond formation, if another covalent bond forms around that sigma bond, then it is called a pi bond. In case of sigma bond, end-on overlap takes place between the participating orbitals of the atoms, and in case of pi bond formation, lateral overlap takes place, right? This will be discussed in the valence bond theory. I'm just giving you some kind of idea. Okay, so now the double bond formation will take place. This electron will pair up with this electron of the carbon, and this carbon electron and this oxygen electron will pair up, and thereby 2 covalent bond will form between the carbon oxygen and another carbon oxygen. And this is the complete Lewis dot structure for carbon dioxide molecule. So here you can see that this carbon is sharing total 8 electrons, 4 from here and 4 from here. So it is fulfilling the octet rule, and each oxygen atom also fulfilling octet rule, because here it is having 4 electrons and here also 4 electrons. So total 8 electrons on each oxygen atom, and thereby each oxygen atom is fulfilling the octet rule. So this is basically the formation of double bond. Like this, we can also discuss or understand the formation of triple bond if we consider nitrogen molecule. So if we simply put the electrons around the nitrogens, then it will look like this. Nitrogen have 5 electrons in its valence shell. So 1s2, 2s2 and 2p3. So valence shell containing only 5 electrons. So here we have to put 5 electrons around the nitrogen, and the other nitrogen atom will also have 5 electrons. And then first a sigma bond will form between these two nitrogen atoms by pairing up 2 electrons. And after the sigma bond formation, 2 unpaired electrons on each nitrogen atom are there, so they will also pair up, and by doing so 2 extra pi bond will form, and which will result in the formation of total 3 covalent bond between these 2 nitrogen atoms, right? So it will look like this. Total 6 electrons will be shared by each nitrogen atom along with their lone pair of electrons, and which making that octet is fulfilling by both these nitrogen atoms, right? So now you can understand how the triple bond as well as double bond can be drawn in terms of Lewis dot structures. So now let us consider the case of boron. So boron has the electronic configuration of 1s2, 2s2 and 2p1. So in case of boron, the valence shell contains 3 electrons, so it can make 3 covalent bonds. So if you consider the formation of boron simple molecule, then we have to put first the electrons around the boron, and then we have to put the hydrogen atoms, and the situation will look like this. And after the covalent bond formation, the molecule will look like this in terms of Lewis dot structure. So this is the Lewis dot structure for boron, but you can clearly see that there is one position available for accommodating extra pair of electrons, and this accounts for the Lewis acidity of boron compounds. All the boron compounds has this type of vacancy around the central boron atom, and that's why they are tremendous Lewis acidic in nature. So you can clearly see that to attain that octet configuration, this Lewis acidity is coming into the picture, right? Let us consider an example where the octet rule is basically expanded. So if we consider the electronic structure of sulfur, then it is basically 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p4, right? No. It has another valence, another orbital which is 3d and which is vacant. So its valence shell has 6 electrons, just like oxygen, right? So if we put the electrons around sulfur, so initially it will look like the exactly like oxygen. So oxygen also has this kind of electronic configuration, but the only difference is sulfur has an extra 3d orbital which is vacant, and oxygen has no vacant orbital. So in the normal case, sulfur will undergo the covalent molecule formation like hydrogen sulfide, where it basically combines with 2 hydrogen atoms and it forms hydrogen sulfide gas, H2S. You all know that. And the Lewis dot structure will look like this. But if you interact highly electronegative elements like fluorine, then sulfur can extend its valency. So here what is the valency of sulfur? It is 2, just like oxygen, but in case of sulfur and fluorine covalent interaction, the normal valency will be extended to 6. And how this is possible? This is only possible because these electrons here, 2 lone pair of electrons are there in case of sulfur, So what will sulfur do during the interaction, covalent interaction between fluorine atoms? It will promote these paired up electrons to this vacant 3d orbital, and thereby attain an electronic configuration where all the 6 electrons will be unpaired, right? And if all the electrons are unpaired, that is 6 unpaired electrons will be available into that configuration, and thereby sulfur can make 6 covalent bond in that particular excited electronic configuration. And due to that reason, when sulfur is interacted with fluorine to make covalent molecules, SF6 is basically formed, where sulfur possessing the valency 6. So in this case, you can see that the octet rule is not fulfilled by sulfur, because here sulfur is sharing total 12 electrons in its valence shell, right? So now you know that how a molecule can extend their valency, and which is basically done by promoting electrons from lower level of orbitals to the higher level of orbitals. In this case it is 3d orbital. So that is how the valency is extended for the higher atomic number elements. And the final thing we have to consider is the stability of the molecules after their formation. So in case of methane, after the forming of methane molecule, so it will attain a structure where the bond pair repulsion will be minimum. So if you draw a tetrahedral like geometry, then only in that geometry this carbon hydrogen bond pair of electrons will face minimum repulsion between them, right? And that is the reason why CH4 molecules attain a tetrahedral geometry. So like that, we have to consider the lone pair as well as bond pair as well as lone pair repulsions to get a lower energy state where the molecule will be very stable. So this is it for today's discussion. I hope that you have completely understood the basic concepts about the Lewis dot structures. If you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next video.